This innocent band got attacked by their idol for copying his style. While this frontman was so jealous, he destroyed an entire band's career. These are rock stars that hate each other, and we have to start with a legendary rivalry, Johnny Rotten versus Billie Joe Armstrong.
You know, there's a band that haven't come up with anything in their own. What they literally are is a coat hanger with a studded leather jacket stuck on it, and they're still stuck there. And that explains Green Day.
Yeah, that's Johnny still bitter after 15 years, but to understand why, let's rewind back to 1996. The Sex Pistols just started their Filthy Lucre reunion tour, which fans immediately criticized as a cash grab. And Johnny was pretty honest about it too, but he believed new punk bands owed the Pistols something, and he straight up let them know. You've seen imitators, and you've settled for that, and you think that's what it's all about. Well, it ain't. It's more. It's called content, something none of those wanky third-rate outfits have. Now, this was a direct jab at Green Day, who was massively blowing up at the time, and Billie did not let the comment slide. In an interview with Spin Magazine, he fired back. I heard that Johnny Rotten was running around telling people we ripped him off. It's funny, because if it wasn't for the Sex Pistols, there may have not been Green Day, but if it wasn't for Green Day, the Sex Pistols wouldn't have their big reunion tour. Billie moved on from this, but Rotten would go on to make nasty comments for years. It's hokey little sods like Green Day that come in and think by sucking up to the system that you're somehow beating the system. You're not. You've become a part of it. We've made it easy for bands like Green Day to come in and nick our things off, which is alright, but they're silly rich fat kids. Fast forward to 2011 and you'd think Rotten would have moved on, but 15 years later, he was still holding a grudge.
I've moved on, but a lot of the foolish haven't, and they're still stuck there. And there's my war with them, which isn't a war. It's actually like, what I'm offering here is kind words and a way out.
Despite all the shots, Billie has shown nothing but respect for the Pistols, and in 2022 even said this: "Nevermind the Bollocks was one of the first punk records I ever heard. For me, it just had a huge impact. Everything about it, from the lyrics to the guitar sounds to the songs, I thought it was just perfect." And while these two have been going at it for over 20 years, an even crazier feud involves Jack White and the Black Keys. Imagine idolizing a musician your whole life, only to grow up and find out that they can't stand you. Well, that's exactly what happened to Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. The drama kicked off when Jack believed their group copied the White Stripes style. A two-person band, similar genre, White Stripes, Black Keys, it's easy to see the comparisons. Although he wasn't flattered, White saw it as imitation, and in 2012, things took a weird turn. The Keys had just moved to Nashville and were invited to a private studio to record, completely unaware that White owned it.
Bob invited me to come down to this session to meet this artist that was on our label, Nunsuch. I got in my car and I hopped over there, and Bob called me and told me to turn around. He said the owner of the studio didn't want me there.
Pretty strange behavior, but then things got extremely personal. Emails from White's divorce were leaked online, with a few revealing just how deep his resentment towards Dan went. Their kids attend the same school, with White saying, "That's a possible 12 years I'm gonna have to be sitting in kids' chairs next to that asshole, with other people trying to lump us in together. He gets yet another free rein to follow me around and copy me and push himself into my world." Now, you'd expect Dan to be pissed off after all this, but when asked about the incident, he just responded with class. "He sounds like an asshole, but I actually feel embarrassed for him. I don't hold grudges, man. We've all said some f***ed up shit in private, and divorce is hard." The feud went quiet for a bit, but in 2015, Patrick Carney, the other half of the Keys, accused White of trying to attack him at a bar. "He came to a bar in NYC I go to a lot and tried to fight me. I don't fight and I don't get fighting, but he was mad." White went on to deny the accusation, and since the two have reconciled, with Carney tweeting, "Talk to Jack for an hour. He's cool. All good." Although this tweet has since been deleted, so who knows exactly where they stand. But few rivalries are as dramatic or as long-lasting as Axl Rose's, and nowhere is that more evident than his infamous battle with Vince Neil of Motley Crue. It all started in 1989 at the legendary Cat House Club in Los Angeles. Izzy Stradlin, the rhythm guitarist for Guns N' Roses, allegedly came on to Neil's wife and then attacked her when she turned him down.
We were at the Cat House. I was there with Charisse, who was Vince's girl at the time, and Izzy grabbed her breast.
He kicked her in the stomach while she was pregnant. I was pissed.
Izzy denied the allegations, but Neil did not let this go. Fast forward to the MTV Music Awards a few months later, and Motley Crue is introducing Guns N' Roses.
This award is for the best heavy metal video. And by the way, Jethro Tull is not nominated.
Tensions were extremely high that night, and as soon as Izzy walked off stage, Neil sucker punched him. Axl witnessed the attack and did not take it lightly. Within days, he was sensationalizing the story in interviews. "I'll tell ya, he's gonna get a good ass whipping, and I'm the boy to give it to him. Hey Vince, guns, knives, or fists, whatever you want to do." And instead of backing down, Vince actually challenged him.
Well, anytime, any place. I want to put an end to this. And what I want is, Axl, if you're watching this, I want to challenge you to a fight. I'm going to give you the time. I'm going to give you the place, and there's no backing out now, buddy, and it's time to put up or shut up.
And Axl hit back one more time, confirming that he was indeed down to fight.
Anytime he wants it, anywhere. Atlantic City, I don't care. We'll put money on it, you know?
At the time, rock fans were buzzing about the idea, but despite all the hype, nothing ever came of it. Instead, the feud fizzled to occasional jabs over the years, like when Revolver magazine named Axl the greatest rock singer of all time, which Neil just responded to by tweeting, lol. And while these guys feuded for decades, they only profited from the drama, unlike one band who had their entire career ruined over a bad joke. In 1989, Faith No More dropped their breakout single called Epic. The song found immediate success, but not everyone was a fan. Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers accused their lead singer Mike Patton of ripping off his style. My drummer says he's gonna kidnap him, shave his hair off, and cut off one of his feet just so he'll be forced to find a style of his own. Now, Patton, who was often praised for his ability to adapt to any genre, didn't really get upset by the insult. It kinda just came out of the blue. It doesn't bother me. I got a real big kick out of it, to tell you the truth. Either he's feeling inadequate or old, or I don't know, but I have no reason to talk shit about him. For years, it seemed like the feud was over until 1999. Patton's side project Mr. Bungle was getting ready to release a new album, but Warner Bros. Suddenly delayed it. This was apparently due to Kiedis not wanting their record to compete with Californication. And at this same time, he was also using his influence to have Mr. Bungle drop from festivals where they were both scheduled to play. So instead of rolling over, the band responded to Kiedis with the ultimate you, putting on a legendary Halloween show dressed up as the Peppers and performing their songs with new lyrics. The performance was insanely clever, although some people did criticize Bungle for making fun of the Peppers' drug addiction, and Kiedis was pissed. So in retaliation, he had Mr. Bungle drop from massive shows. I would not have given two fucks if they played there with us, but after I heard about the Halloween show where they mocked us, fuck him and fuck the whole band. And this move hit Bungle hard. The band struggled to book shows, release records, and their reputation was damaged. Ultimately, it led to the group disbanding in 2000, with bassist Trevor Dunn stating, "Everything you've heard about the Peppers screwing us is true. They had kept us off festivals in Europe, Big Day Out in Australia, and they had the release date of our record postponed while they released theirs. Ultimately, they screwed me out of a lot of money." But despite everything, Patton still went on to have an extremely successful career. And in 2010, he even chose to take the high road when reflecting on the feud. I have no idea what it was about then, and I don't know now, but I bet we'd have a warm embrace if we saw each other. And while those two ended on decent terms, it's the opposite for Kurt Cobain. His feud with Axl Rose wasn't just personal, it symbolized a battle between two clashing rock eras. The start of this feud was in 1992 when Kurt said this to Rolling Stone: "We're not your typical Guns N' Roses type of band that has absolutely nothing to say." Now at this time, rock music was heavily split. On one side, the glam metal scene led by Guns N' Roses, and on the other, the raw, unfiltered grunge movement led by Nirvana. Axl took offense to Kurt's comment, and instead of keeping things private, he decided to make a spectacle on stage in front of thousands of fans.
The problem starts when you start thinking that you're different from everybody else on the fucking planet. Alternative, only thing that means to me is someone like Kurt Cobain in Nirvana, who basically is a fucking junkie with a junkie life. And if the baby's born deformed, I think they both ought to go to prison. That's my feeling.
The tension would reach its peak later that year at the MTV Music Awards. Kurt and his wife Courtney Love jokingly asked Axl to be the godfather of their daughter, which Axl did not take well.
And we yelled at Axl, we said, "Axl, will you be the godfather of our child?" And so he said to my wife, "You better shut up, bitch. Don't pitch me any shit tonight." Because tonight was obviously the highlight of his career.
But for Kurt, this wasn't just a feud for publicity. Axl was the antithesis of everything Nirvana stood for, and Kurt wanted people to know. The guy is a fucking racist, sexist homophobe, and you can't be on his side and be on our side. The feud came to an end when Kurt passed away in 1994, and now even 30 years later, Axl still hasn't made a statement. But while we're on the topic of long-running feuds, no one tops the Oasis brothers, who have been at each other's throats for over 3 decades. In 1994, Oasis gained international fame and went on their first North American tour. During a show in LA, Liam changed lyrics mid-set to make fun of his brother in front of the crowd. So Noel responded by hitting him with a tambourine and then quitting the tour. But things got really intense the following year during a recording session at the studio. Liam invited some drunk people from the bar to crash his brother's session. So again, this ended in violence, with Noel hitting Liam with a cricket bat. A few years go by and the band is seemingly getting along and in Barcelona to perform some shows. They decide to go out for a night of drinking, and it's here where things get crazy. Liam makes remarks about Noel's wife, even questioning the legitimacy of their child, which then of course ends with Noel headbutting Liam and quitting the tour. Almost a decade later, and these two have become fully grown adults, but somehow still can't stop going at each other. In 2009, Noel's guitar got smashed backstage, and directly after he said, "I cannot go on working with Liam a day longer." And since then, the two have gone at each other constantly.
God, no, that's well for real, man.
Is it really?
Yeah, don't like each other, man.
If you can believe this, he was going to sue me for ruining his character. Slander, whatever, I don't know what the legal term is.
Now in 2025, the brothers are set to reunite for a tour. Only question is, will they finally bury the hatchet, or is this the next chapter in the legendary feud?